Okay, guys. Everybody hear me okay? All right, great. It's as we speak, it's Thursday at noon. And so I've had about 6 hours of Kentucky. I need about 24 more. So if you expect me to tell you how we're going to guard them or what we're going to run offensively or how we're going to press them, I don't even have a clue right now. But I'll get there by Saturday. Yeah, good team, really good team. You look at their offensive numbers. They're different than most Kentucky teams I've coached against. This is the number one offense in our league, number one in assists. Number one in their transition offense is the best. They got three dynamic shooters that are shooting great percentages and shooting them well. Two great point guards and Ty Washington and Savion Wheeler. The big kid in the middle could be the player of the year in the country, best rebounder in the country. What we've seen in a long, long time. Athletic forwards that will, be excited about trying to guard Jabari Smith and taking a shut off his water. So it's a great offensive rebounding team, great rebounding team. Their rebounding margins are off the charts. Playing at a faster pace than playing at a pace like the Kentucky teams I used to coach against when I was at Tennessee. Real fast. John Wall type, push the break, get up the floor, let those guys make plays. And when you have wings that can shoot it and a post that can rim run, he's the best rim runner in the country. So those are all the things that we're going to face. Our guys have done a great job this year, getting ready to play every night and finding a way. We got a lot of holes. We got a lot of weapons, a lot of character, a lot of depth, and our guys have been really locked in. So, questions?
We're going to start with the question from Justin Hokinson.
Hey, Bruce, I know you love history and have a lot of respect for history. Just what does this game mean for Auburn basketball? I think it's the first pair of top 12 teams in Auburn Arena history. Just what is the significance? Standing room only tickets are like $300. I mean, what is the significance of this game for this program, you think?
Well, I mean, it's probably the biggest home game we've had since I've been coaching. And we've played Kentucky here 3 or 4 times, I think. But there's a lot at stake here. Take away the rankings. The winner of this game is going to be at least in control of the regular season championship moving forward, because we only play them once. And so it's a huge opportunity for either team to kind of put themselves in position where everybody else is going to be looking up at you. We've talked about the fact that we don't want anybody else to do our work. We talked about that against LSU. We talked about it against Alabama. We'll talk about it against Kentucky for sure. It's great that on a Saturday in the middle of January, all eyes of the country will be on Auburn, Alabama, on CBS on a Saturday afternoon, and it'll be for men's basketball. That's that's something that you might not have said a few years ago.
Next is Jordan Hill.
Bruce, you mentioned Oscar Tshiebwe a few minutes ago. He's been a force for Kentucky. Just in what you've gotten to see of him, what sort of stands out, and how crucial is that matchup going to be Saturday?
Well, I mean, he is he's the biggest, strongest, fastest player running up and down the floor. We actually have got 3 centers in Stretch and Dillon and Walker that can really run also. That's going to be an interesting track meet to watch that all game long. And then they've got Ware that comes in behind him and a couple of Collins. So they've got 3 centers that do the same thing. He is just He's got 5 defensive rebounds. So that means if he's around the basket, he's going to, and you miss, he's going to get the rebound. So everybody will try to pull him away from the basket. It's easier said than done. And then on the offensive end, when Dylan or Walker go over to try to block a shot, which they've been noted to do a time or two, he's just going to be gobbling up the backside of every miss. So you're kind of damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, if you rotate over to try to block shots. So he's a handful, and he puts 2 hands on everything. 2 hands on everything, and 2 hands on his catches, 2 hands on his rebounds. And that's what great rebounders do. Every 50-50 ball is his.
Brian Stoltz.
Bruce, you mentioned last night how you want your team to get more to the rim and be aggressive in the paint. How big is it to get, even on fouls? I think Georgia only had like 1 foul going into halftime last night. How big is that against Kentucky to get even foul calls and be aggressive at the rim?
Well, we obviously haven't been very effective drawing fouls. We, like you said, we had 2 fouls at Ole Miss at halftime. 2 fouls. And they both came in the last minute when KD Johnson stole the ball and they fouled him at the rim. And then last night, what did Georgia have? How many fouls did Georgia have at halftime?
I think 1 or 2. It was like 1 with like 4 minutes to go.
So we're obviously not doing a good enough job driving it into contact.
Mark Murphy next.
Bruce, on your team's personality, is this the type of group that really has fun with a challenge like this one coming up Saturday?
No, I'm their coach, and so I'm no fun, and so I don't let them have any fun. But I think they have fun because they love our fans and they love the crowd, and they love the passion, and they love the energy, and they feed off it, and they love each other. And so there's a lot of love there. They just got to overcome me.
Justin Ferguson.
Bruce, I wanted to ask you about Kentucky's guards, their point guard specifically. What have you seen out of Ty? And then obviously you guys are familiar with Severe Wheeler coming from Georgia and how well he's played for them this year.
Well, we're familiar with Ty too because we recruited him pretty heavily in the springtime, and he's from probably the last year cycle, his season at Arizona Compass, and then his beginnings now here at Kentucky. It'd be hard, he'd be one of those players you'd say one of the top 5 most improved basketball players. His senior year high school, his freshman year of college. Do it all. He could do it all. Not afraid of the moment either. And then Wheeler is such an unusual coverage because he's so fast. He's a lot like Wendell. He doesn't shoot it like Wendell, but he can get downhill like Wendell. He's quicker than he looks like Wendell. And like Wendell's not afraid. And so they've got a couple of, like we do, a couple of really courageous, dynamic, playmaking, scoring point guards that you've got to wrestle with. And then they got those wings on the wings, that can shoot it. And Brooks, and they got monsters in the middle. They got all the pieces.
We're going to go to Jerry Tipton next.
Yeah, Bruce, I wanted to ask you about, you sort of touched on this, how Wendell Green contributes to the team, and also Walker Kessler. How important are those 2 guys to what you guys do?
How important is, your 1 and your 5, really, really, really crucial. Wendell is a dynamic player. And he's really good with the basketball in his hands, really good in ball screens, and, really good in space, and great threat to shoot the ball. And again, plays with courage. Been really good for us on the road because he doesn't get infected at all by the environment, experienced. AAU player, great high school at La Lemure, played against and with, great players. And while at Eastern Kentucky, he watched every Kentucky basketball game, so he understands what Kentucky basketball is all about. And then Walker, again, impacting the game at the rim as much as any player in college basketball. Offensively in the air, defensively in the air. He can make plays on both ends. And the one thing that you haven't seen him do yet that he can do is shoot the three ball. And he's still shooting it. He hasn't made many, but he's going to keep shooting it. But it just tells you that Walker has shedded a label of being, a big 7'1", heavy-legged, slow player to being a candidate for the defensive player of the year in the country because the way he can switch off on guards and the way he can protect the rim.
And if I can ask a follow, Bruce, I wonder, you said earlier, and I've noticed it over the years, you really like history, making history or doing things that are historical. Why? What attracts you to that?
It's a great question. If you do, and we probably should get a pic. Marlene should probably get a picture of this. In our locker room, there is the AU logo. And around that AU logo, you would think it would be Auburn basketball or Auburn University. It's make history with the AU logo in the middle. We've got history with Auburn basketball. Sonny Smith and Charles Barkley, Cliff Ellis, and when he was coaching, and Chris Porter and the '99 team. And we don't have a ton of it. And so it's a lot easier to come to Auburn and make history than it is to go to Kentucky because they make history every year. We don't make history every year, but we have the last 4 or 5 years. And so, that's, you kind of want to be able to leave your mark. And for each player, they've got a 1 to 4 year. You've got, if you can stay in this thing as long as I have, it's your career of trying to make history, whether it be at Southern Indiana, University of Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Tennessee, and now here at Auburn. It matters. It stands the test of time. History matters at Kentucky, doesn't it?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
We'll go to Callie Stanford next.
Hey, of the town. So what's your message to the team trying to calm down all this excitement going into Saturday?
I think I heard, could you repeat that again, hon? I apologize.
Everybody on campus is talking about you. So what's your message to the team as they're
our message to the team had been twofold all season long. Number one, go about our business every single day, trying to do the things that God will bless, period, on and off the court. The second thing is, because we had so many new pieces, a new freshman and 4 new transfers who are all in our top 5 or 6 players, we got to get better. We got to get better every day. We got to get better every week. We got better in the first half against Georgia. We didn't get better in the second half against Georgia, and that was disappointing to me. But my point is, are we going to be good enough to beat Kentucky on Saturday, knowing we got to get better? Have we gotten better to the point where we could beat Kentucky? Because back in November, we weren't good enough to beat UConn in overtime. But we've gotten better since then. And so rather than listening to all the noise, and it's not about noise, it's about support and passion and excitement. That's all great. We just got to focus on becoming a better team, defending better, executing better, and taking advantage of the opportunity that we put ourselves in.
Go to Steve Moulton.
Hey, Coach, certainly appreciate the time and you doing this today. I can't help but ask, with as big of a game that this is on Saturday, how much does a regular season game with this type of atmosphere help you to get you ready for March?
I mean, it'll help because this will be our most challenging opponent. This will be the best team that we played. When we played LSU, they were down one of their better players. But this will be the best team we played, Kentucky. So that'll ultimately be the kind of teams that you're playing come NCAA tournament time. And so from that standpoint, it's good preparation. But this one is more about playing for championships, because there is a regular season championship at stake, and the outcome of this game will have something to say about it.
Guys, looks like it's time for about 3 more in the chat. I'm going to go to Matt Norlander next.
Bruce, I'm wondering, I know we still got 48 hours till this thing tips off, so there's a lot that you'll experience, your program will experience before the start of the game, but I'm wondering if this game is starting to feel like the biggest regular season game that you've been a part of since you and Cal went against each other in 2008, late February, Tennessee, Memphis. I don't know if there are parallels to be drawn there or not, but I just wanted to get a little bit of a sense of how you're intaking this, because the coaches are the same, even though the schools and the venue will be different.
Yeah, Matt, the thing about that game, that was a non-conference game. And yes, it was 1 versus 2. And I was very, very pleased that Tennessee and Memphis, Tennessee, could have the highest rated ESPN game in the history of ESPN at that time. I think right now it ranks the second all-time watched game, 1 versus 2. But it was a non-conference game sometime in, I think, even early February, whenever it was.
Yes.
And so while it was exciting, it really wasn't about a championship. If Memphis was in the SEC at that time, I think it would have even had more, meaning. The environment was Super Bowl-like. It was a crazy atmosphere. It was fun to be a part of. This one here will be the same kind of atmosphere, same kind of fun, but this one means something. This one actually means more. Let alone, it doesn't matter if you're 1 or 2. We're playing. Both teams are playing for championships.
Nubias Wilborn.
Shout out to the SEC. It just means more there, Bruce. But just from yesterday, we didn't see Berman. Is everything okay with him? And then other than that, is everything okay with the health of your team going forward?
Yeah, Lior had his foot was messed up a little bit, and I don't. Everybody else is healthy moving forward.
All right, and we're going to wrap you up with the question from John Hale.
Hey, Bruce, historically, we don't really think of Auburn, Kentucky as a basketball rivalry, but as the series is essentially even the last 6 years. How do you view this series right now, especially as a guy who was in the heat of that Kentucky-Tennessee rivalry for so long?
Well, one of the advantages to being the Tennessee coach is it comes with the fact that if you asked your average Kentucky fan which team they want to beat most in the league, it's Tennessee, hands down. That goes back to Ray Mears. It goes back to Coach Rupp and Coach Hall. And by the way, I would be remiss by not once again briefly telling you how wonderful a man that you guys all know Coach Joe B. Hall was. Not only did he do an amazing job, but he was a good person. And he loved his players, cared about his staff, but was also very willing to provide advice as an elder statesman. And I know when I had a chance to win the Adolph Rupp National Coach of the Year, Coach Hall and I spoke, and I couldn't believe how much he knew about me and how much he knew about our team and the way we coached, and he even had some advice for me. So I'll cherish that. John, go back to your question. I feel like Joe Biden here for a second. Go back to your question. Meaning I lost my train of thought. I need you to ask it again.
Okay, yeah, basically, just how do you view the Auburn-Kentucky series now within the context of it's not a traditional rivalry, but it's so even in the last 6 years?
Well, and we've had some meaningful games, and And so it's what you want to try to do. So to finish my point, you want this game to matter. You know, there was a time when Auburn basketball would always play you hard, but really wasn't much of a threat to beat you. And so Coach Calipari would just simply have to get his guys to not overlook and respect Auburn. Now that's different. Now this game matters. I think they'll respect our players. I know our players respect their players, and we respect their coaching staff. And that's how, you know, you build a program that now the Kentucky Auburn game matters. Kentucky is the best program in our league, and they probably always will be. But can Auburn also 5 years we have been?
All right, Coach. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you, guys.